Welcome to the RAADfest 2024 sneak peek webinar. We're happy to have so many people with us, and we're excited to have some of our presenters from this year's RAADfest, some of our super presenters here who are going to tell us a little bit, just a little bit, about what they're going to talk to us about at RAADfest.
Yeah, good word to use. You're super presenters.
Super duper.
Super.
Yeah,
Super
and I'm
duper.
excited to have James Stroll, the executive director of the Coalition for Radical Life Extension, which is the presenter of RAADfest. And
Thank you, Joe.
it's getting close to RAADfest time.
It is close. What, 35 days, something like that?
36 according to
36.
Google.
Okay, according to Google. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think this year, every year we have had outstanding events. We get great reviews.
Yeah.
People are excited. We're growing all the time. This year's going to be really special, though, I think, because we're going to do some different things. And
Yeah.
different's good in this context, because we're going to create where we can get a opportunity to immerse ourselves more in all the therapies, the concepts, the ideas, be able to network better. We're going to have breakouts this year, which we've never done. But the purpose of them are very unique in the sense that we're calling them labs where people can attend talks, really detailed talks about certain innovations and learn how to apply them, learn how to get healthier, and have these discussions in a more in-depth way. So I'm very, I'll say, excited and thrilled that we got this type of format this year. And everybody so far we're getting a great response on it. More and more people are registering all the time. This is why we're having this webinar now, to give everybody a little sneak preview and give them an opportunity to get in on this special we're offering too.
Yep. So it's going to be in Anaheim, California, at the Orange County Hyatt Regency Hotel. And yeah, as Jim said, it's going to be really the most immersive RAADfest that we've had. And these breakout labs are going to be another great way to connect with really bright, dedicated innovators. RAADfest is about the cutting edge, and it's about really celebrating the innovators and the innovations that are out to fundamentally change how we think about our longevity and how we think about human lifespan, and consequently how we think about human beings and the value of human life.
Yeah.
And so
well, people are getting more and more interested. We have tons of people now in the longevity arena, a lot of biohackers, and it's fantastic. And my hat off to all the biohackers who are listening and now are moving in new ways to expand their health. A lot of more young people are getting into this arena. That's thrilling. We need that. We need this diversity. But what is really great, I want to address the biohackers, is that thank you for what you're doing. And now I want to invite you to take the next step to RAADfest. RAADfest is about age reversal. It's about super longevity. It's about extending life and with unlimited possibilities. So this is where a whole new world has opened up. And so thank you for doing what you're doing, the biohacking arenas. There's really great biohacking events that are going on. And from that place, I want to invite you now to step up with us and get involved in RAADfest also, along with what you're doing, and really begin to explore these new innovations that are coming out broader all the time to really reverse aging and get to where we really want to get as human beings and create a whole new world here.
For sure. So I want to tell you about also that we're going to have RAADcity, which is the product and services expo part of RAADfest. And there's going to be a lot of cool stuff you can do on site.
Yeah.
There's going to be a cancer check lab. There's going to be homocysteine testing and biological age calculation. There's going to be APO genetic cheek swab. I really don't know what that is, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to get one. So if you really, I think if you haven't gotten your cheek swabbed in Orange County,
Who doesn't want a cheek swab?
you haven't lived. Yeah. So we're going to get out and do that. True diagnostic, epigenetic aging, age testing, DEXA body composition, and also you're going to learn about upcoming human trials, such as the first preventative gene therapy for increasing tissue capillarization. I think that has something to do with our capillaries. Jim, did you want to talk about the EBU?
Yeah, we have a doctor in LA who's going to be doing EBU there. In fact, he's only 10 minutes away from the hotel that we're at, and he'll be at RAADfest, of course. And people can, any of the attendees at RAADfest can actually take advantage and get EBOO. And for those who don't know what EBOO is, it's actually a purification of your blood using ozone, oxygen, many other levels of a protocol that circulates through a filter, filters your blood, filters out all the different bacteria, et cetera, possibly different disease agents. And it's amazing what they call it, an oil change for the body. It's like getting we get our oil change in our car, but we don't think of it in terms of our really, cleansing our blood that way. And they're getting tremendous results on this EBOO for people. It's really, really super. In fact, I'm thinking myself to do it while I'm there. So he's given a 10% discount. He's an example.
Right.
So all the RAADfest members.
Right. So you have an opportunity to learn. You have an opportunity to meet fantastic experts. You have an opportunity to really connect with like-minded people and to do stuff that that impacts your longevity. So we have a special offer we want you to know about, and magically a slide is going to appear right about now. And so for the next 72 hours, we are offering this basic admission, which is everything that you need to learn at RAADfest. It's just without the meals, and it's just $597. So it's really the lowest price to register for RAADfest, and you can take advantage of that for the next 72 hours. So please register for RAADfest now. It saves us the suspense of knowing if you're going to register, and that's a better feeling for us. And you can make your plans. So that offer is going to be available for 72 hours, and we invite you to take advantage of that. Our normal website is down right now just because it would be too easy. It would just be too easy for you to go to the website and register. So we're having a server problem, but you can use that QR code on that to get to the page to register. And if not, it's going to be up shortly because we are going to lift it up with our fingernails and make it be up. But let's get started with hearing from our esteemed panel today. First, we're going to hear from Dr. Greg Fay. Besides being, in my opinion, one of the very funnest scientists you will ever come across, he is the Chief Scientific Officer and co-founder of Intervene Medicine. He's made a lot of headlines and a lot of waves with the TRIM trial and thymus regeneration and measurable epigenetic age reversal. And we're really, really proud to have Dr. Fay back with us. Here's Greg.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. And it's a great to contemplate being with all my friends again at RAADfest 2024, and we're going to hear a lot of great stuff. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, most people know here that I work on what kills most of us, which is immune system failure with aging. And in order to address that, I try to restore the immune system by regrowing it, by regenerating the thymus. And as probably all of you know, or most of you know, along the way, we found out we can regrow the thymus. We can increase the production of new immune cells in older individuals. And along the way, we found out that as part of that, it turns out that we're also able to reverse epigenetic aging clocks. And what we published in 2019 is that 4 significant epigenetic aging clocks all went in reverse, and that was great. But in science, nothing is true unless it's true at least twice. You have to be able to reproduce these things. And so we've been working ever since on generating follow-up data. And I was able to give an interim report to the RAADfest attendees back in 2022. At that time, we didn't have our immune data. We didn't have our epigenetic aging data, but we had discovered a number of amazing things that are still true today. And at the time, we didn't have statistical proof for them, but we've finally done our statistical analysis now. And all of this really checks out that you can have a tremendous improvement in muscle strength, VO2 max, which is correlated with your longevity potential, your future morbidity and mortality. And you can lose fat, a lot of general fat along with visceral fat, which is the dangerous kind. And so we have all of that. We'll represent that with the statistics to back it up in early September at our next RAADfest meeting. And we also have done frailty tests. So none of you have seen this before. It turns out that there's some standardized frailty tests, and if you apply those before and after the thymus regeneration treatment, frailty goes in reverse also. And frailty is a big deal if you want to live an independent lifestyle. So that's really a significant finding as well. And then we also have some more new findings on hair darkening. So in the original TRIM trial, about 1/3 of the people had their hair getting darker again by the end of the year of treatment. And in TRIM-XA, which is the name of the trial to repeat that experiment, we have seen hair getting dark not only in the top of the head, but elsewhere as well, including in some strange places that you wouldn't expect. So we'll tell you all about that at the next RAADfest meeting also. We also discovered some interesting things. So, being able to exercise more, have better lungs, et cetera, all implies that your cardiovascular fitness is going up and your potential for longevity is going up. But two other things have come out recently. One is that this treatment also lowers your diastolic blood pressure, and it also reduces your pulse rate, meaning that your heart is stronger at the end of treatment than it was before treatment. So those are pretty encouraging advances as well, and you'll see the data at the upcoming RAADfest meeting as well. But the most important stuff I'm going to present, at least on the mainstream of our work, has to do with the immunological and the epigenetic results, which we didn't have back in 2022 when I last spoke to people. It turns out that not only did we reverse the same 4 epigenetic aging clocks that we had reversed back in the original study, but we also reversed 17 more on top of that. And of these 21 total aging reversal clocks that that we'll report at the meeting, 12 of them were associated at the end of last year with improvements in morbidity and mortality and cancer risk, the risk of getting cancer. So all of the data so far suggests we're really doing something that's going to have an impact on your future ability to not only survive, but to survive in good shape. We also reproduce the core of our immune results as well. We're showing robust increases in recent thymic emigrants, which is the newest form of T cell to come out of the thymus. So those are the kind of the mainstream results that we came out of this trial with, but there's a couple of new things that you're going to hear about as well. And one of them is what I call the novel agent. So I got an inspiration some time ago, and I started taking this stuff, and Bobby Brook, our CEO, started taking this stuff. And what I found is that, my results, I entered the TRIM-XA trial myself, and I went back 4 years in the 1-year treatment course, and that was great. But on the novel agent, I went back 6 years in 90 days with a higher p-value than I had with the regular TRIM treatment. And then I combined the 2 treatments, and I went back 2.5 years in a week. So don't quote me because, we have to reproduce this stuff, but I will share all of that stuff with you if you show up at RAADfest again. And then the last thing I'll touch on is that, of course, we always dig deeper and deeper as we go farther and farther along. And it became apparent that it's possible to develop a nutritional adjunct to the thymus regeneration protocol that helps the medications reverse your aging. And we'll present results with that as well, but so far they've been pretty impressive. We call that mixture DAN for de-aging nutrients. And we'll show you how that all works if you come back to RAADfest again in September. So I think that's all that I will say right now, and we'll have further discussions as we go along.
Super, thank you. That's really
Wow.
that's really inspiring.
Yeah, beautiful.
I'm sure we're all wondering like what hair you're talking about and what colors it turns. But you're going to have to go to RAADfest to
Find out.
find out.
Yeah,
But
Find out.
yeah, it's this is what we mean. I mean, the time for age reversal
here.
is now. Yeah, and so that's exciting. Next, I'm thrilled to have Dr. Ranjan Nag. He's a renowned inventor, entrepreneur, and educator, founder and president of R42 Group, and professor in genetics in the Stanford School of Medicine. Dr. Nag, great to have you with us.
Oh, it's so happy to be here. So kind of me to be invited. I went to RAADfest maybe 8 years ago. And what I really like about RAADfest, it's a mixture of communities. It's not just scientists talking gobbledygook. It's not just industrialists sort of trying to make money. And it's the general public as well. So everyone's forced to actually explain their science in simple manner, in a simple words, because otherwise no one will understand what you're talking about and they'll get bored and leave your presentation. And I certainly don't want to do that. No, just a little bit about me. I'm really an AI guy. I'm really my first AI system was 40 years ago, not 4 years ago, 40 years ago, 1983. And I was an entrepreneur, sold my companies to Motorola, BlackBerry, Apple. But really the last 10 years, I've been at Stanford and looking at the intersection of mathematics and medicine. So the body is extremely complex. Biology is complex. Medicine is complex. And really, hitherto, we've really, had humans trying to do intelligent humans, scientists, but using trial and error to try and find triangulations. We're now actually just beginning now to have the computational tools to do that research for us. And the project I'm going to talk about at RAADfest is an idea I presented at the Stanford Big Ideas in Medicine conference a little while ago. And the big idea here is a vaccine for aging. So what does that mean? What does a vaccine for aging mean? Does that mean you just stop aging going forward? Or does it mean you reverse aging, like Greg was talking to us about? Is it something you take once a year, like your flu vaccine, or is it something you take just once, like a smallpox vaccine at the beginning when you're born? And and then how would you actually build it? So I'm a big believer that you have to set the moonshot goal, otherwise people won't actually go for it. Now we could say we just want to extend life, but I think we want to go a little bit, double click a little bit, and how would you do it? And we really got three theories. One is do it step by step. So you probably have to do clusters of diseases. And really, what we want to try and find is the treatments that can solve as many diseases as possible with the fewest side effects. And then look at clusters. So cancer might be a cluster, cardiovascular might be a cluster. Clearly, you want to do clusters that attack chunks of age-related components. And the way we do it is really three tricks. One is machine learning. Two is drug repurposing, because it takes 20 years to create a new drug, beginning to end. Some of us can't wait that long. And so we have the thesis that you don't need to invent a new drug. They've already been invented. You just have to use them in different ways, different combinations. But how do we figure out which combinations? And the third way is, can you actually do it cheaper and faster? Now, can you actually have research organizations? It's a different skill. Can you find people to do your experiments for you around the world because they've already done the sub-experiment? So I will stop there. I really am looking forward to seeing everybody. As I said, because of the mixture of people is very different to an academic conference or a trade show conference. It's a mixture of people where we can really interact with each other. And there, I think you can get ideas that wouldn't have come out in those pure discipline domains.
Wow.
Super. That is so interesting. I love the big idea, and we're out. Yeah, we want the big ideas, and we want to support them. We want to hear more. So thank you for.
Well, I like also how he expressed how the coming together of this diversity of people creates an energy that can bring out new ideas and new thoughts. So that was great. Thank you for that. It's really true.
I dare say, even being forced to articulate an idea for a general audience can help make that idea more rigorously considered, because you actually have to say in simple terms what it is.
Yeah.
So it's excellent.
We can't wait to hear more from you at RAADfest.
Excited
Perfect. I'm really looking forward to it.
about that. Our next presenter is Liz Parrish, who, considering how genetically altered she is, she's
I'm still able to show up.
she's incredibly present and relatable,
And she's human.
and we can understand her, and she's still related in human terms with
yeah.
this, which is
She got
Or
all
was
the-
it Feynman that said that if you couldn't say it in simple terms, you didn't understand it yourself? And I believe that.
so she's the genetically altered CEO of BioViva Sciences, and a great advocate, not only for gene therapy, but really for innovating how we do healthcare medicine.
Most genetically modified.
She claims,
Yes,
and
yes.
no one has come
I
up to
think that's
challenge.
true. No one's challenged that
No one's
yet.
challenged her.
Challenging me yet.
She's more modified than I am, and that's
Yeah.
all I know.
Yeah.
So great to have you, Liz. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm really excited to see everyone at this year's RAADfest. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about what you're going to talk about.
Well, actually, this year it's going to be quite diverse. So my company, BioViva, is starting their non-human primate study. And so we're a little bit tied up on that side. And so what I'm going to be talking about this year is something that I spend about a third of my time on, which is regulations. And so we're going to do a breakout session, and we're going to talk about regulations and why it matters to you. It might sound a little dull at first, but actually this is your opportunity to step up. If you want to biohack, where can you legally do that? And how can we switch the mindset from biohacking and legalizing early access medicine? So Best Choice Medicine is a pre-regulatory route. I work in a multitude of countries on regulations. Some of them are passing this year, some of them will pass in 2 years, and some of them have already passed. So we're going to have a robust panel of some great speakers who are going to talk about why you need access to medicine now, why it matters. If you have a small molecule, it can take 20 years to get it through regulations, but if you have a gene therapy, it might only take 6. But how do you get approved to get into the clinical trial space? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and that's going to be exciting. I'm also going to go on stage with some friends of mine. We're starting a new company, and I'll be a little spoiler at the end. And we're working with BioViva's gene therapy, but a way to make BioViva's gene therapy, viral vector delivery, more affordable and less immune responsive. And so not pulling out big words here, we want it to be easy for you to take these therapies. We want them to be long lasting and persistent. And we don't want you to have to go through weeks of immunosuppression. And so this is going to be very exciting. Another thing I'm going to be doing is going on stage with one of my favorite friends who sometimes speaks at RAADfest, Dr. Jason Williams. And he is going to present some of his new cancer work and some of the outcomes. But more than that, you are going to see some regeneration that you have never seen before in humans. He's going to show you first in human use of some factors, and you do not want to miss this. I'm flying down to see him in a couple of weeks, and we're going to make sure that you are amazed, and rightly so, based on good human evidence. And so that's really exciting. And then I believe, because I was the person who won the Bacon Award last year, that I may get to hand it off this year too. And so I'll be doing a lot of things. It's going to be exciting. You'll have to come to find out. And be sure to talk to me in between all of these presentations to see what else is going on. We've got a lot cooking now.
That is great.
Wow.
That is
Wow.
great. Yeah, we've been hearing about your presentation with Dr. Jason Williams, and that involves somebody very close to Dr. Williams, and that the results of the protocols are
Amazing.
Dr. Williams called me about a month or two ago and told me about this, and I'm so happy he's working with you on this. And I was astounded what he told me, and so that's all I'm going to say. But we're going to see remarkable things that we've all looking to be able to see right now in this day and age. So it's going to be, don't miss seeing what's going to take place here in such a vast way. Wow.
Yeah, and this is a big part of what RAADfest is about, is impacting how we think about what we can do, how we think about what's possible, and that we all collectively together by these just individual gestures of excellence are opened up to thinking further and thinking beyond what we thought was
Yeah, and
possible.
I think that's really important. When you come to RAADfest, you're not coming to meet people's egos. You know, we're as David Kekich used to say, we're your best friends who you didn't know you ever had. We work tirelessly to make sure that patients get access to new medicine. To make sure that investigator-initiated studies happen so that we can deliver human data to regulatory systems and expedite the use of these drugs. So from your access as a patient when you're sick, all the way through to making it so you don't need these drugs anymore, you know, we're the people who are behind making that happen.
Yeah, so not only is there tremendous benefit for you as participants, but really we see this as a collective movement. We see this as a movement, as a revolution. And honestly, if you believe what we're talking about and this moves you, you know, show up.
Yeah. Well, it's all the more reason to be in person.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to look, you know, we've gotten too used to being online, seeing each other through the, and I'm happy that we have the internet. At the same time, it's nothing like being in person. You can actually experience the energy and the transformational experiences that you see other people have and that you can share together. So it's vital to have these times together.
Yeah.
We're doing right now a virtual meeting. It's great. I'm glad we have it, but I'm more excited to see you in person, Liz, and all of you, to be able to share this, feel this energy and see these things happening with my own eyes and be able to network with each other. You know, it's very powerful.
Yeah,
and stay up late with Aubrey de Grey.
Definitely. Yeah, Aubrey, it's hard to stay up as late as Aubrey does. He's got a real, you know, but we gather around kind of. So.
And frankly, we as innovators, like we need your support. You know,
yeah, that's right.
We need your energy.
That's right. All of you out there, we need your support.
So be a part of it.
Good point.
Super. So, and that's not all, as they say, right? I want to introduce our next presenter. He's a distinguished veterinarian, international best-selling author. Good veterinarian. We're talking about the longevity of our pets. He's the best-selling author of the Ultimate Pet Health Guide and founder of Ultimate Pet Nutrition, Dr. Gary Richter. Dr. Richter, good to see you.
Hi, everybody, and thank you. It's good to be seen. It's good to be seen with this group of people. You can't ask for a better group of people in this, and every single one of you, I want to talk to you about what you're doing and how we're going to apply it to pets. So those conversations will happen. Anyway, you know, what I am coming to RAADfest to talk to people about is longevity science as it can be applied to our pets. You know, and I don't imagine anybody on this call would ask this question, but there are people that ask the question, why? You know, why have this conversation about longevity for pets? Well, I can give you a bunch of reasons. Number one, people who have pets live longer than people who don't. So this is as much about our pets' longevity as it is about our longevity. So, and for many of us who have pets, you understand that pets are family. You know, this is as much a member as our family as many people consider our human members of our family. And sometimes we have a greater attachment to our pets than we do our actual human family members. So, you know, there's a lot of reasons to look at longevity as it pertains to pets. And there's so much that we can do here and so much intervention that can happen. And certainly some of it on the very sort of interesting, high-end, cutting-edge science of things like what Dr. Fahey is doing, things you know, that we're looking at, be it you know, be it peptides, be it regenerative medicine, what have you. But so much of it is easier than that. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit that happens in veterinary medicine that is actually easier to implement in our pets than it is for ourselves. Perfect example is nutrition. We all know that from a health and longevity perspective, what we eat is paramount to how healthy we are. You don't need a PhD in nutrition to understand that the more fresh food you eat, the better. The more processed food you eat, the worse you tend to be health-wise. Yet, 90+% of the pets out there are eating highly processed kibble and canned food. And we will talk at great length about the various problems associated with kibble and canned food, relative to fresh whole food diets. But this is the single easiest thing that you can do as a pet owner to keep your pet healthy and living longer, is get them off of the highly processed crap that they're probably eating. And again, we'll talk about that. Moving on from diet, we're going to talk about exercise. We're going to talk about appropriate amounts of exercise. All of these things, diet, exercise, lifestyle, all of this stuff directly interacts with the hallmarks of longevity that we are all familiar with. And it's important for us to think about these things through that lens when we start to figure out what the diet, exercise, and lifestyle for our pets should be. The reason why I say this is easier for pets than it is for people is because we're in charge, right? I often say that if I had somebody that was handing me every bite of food that I was eating every day, and I could make sure that those bites of food were all perfectly balanced, fresh whole foods, I'd be the healthiest person in town. I don't really have that person in my life. I don't have Oprah's chef living in my kitchen. But your dog does. It's you. So, it's very, very easy for us to set these things up for our pets to optimize their diet, optimize their exercise regimen, optimize their lifestyle. And while we're doing it, guess what? It's optimizing our own diet, exercise, and lifestyle as well. We can move beyond that. We can move into standard Western veterinary medicine, the good and the bad, be it vaccines, spay, neuter, antibiotics, flea and tick control, all the things that are out there being done in conventional Western medicine. And you know what? None of them are all good and none of them are all bad, but we have to understand how to utilize these things to the best advantage of our pets. I am in no way anti-Western medicine. I am not anti-vax. What I am is I am pro-intelligent use of science. So, and it's important for people to understand that when you go to your veterinarian, if your veterinarian is trained, like 99% of the veterinarians out there, they're going to make recommendations that from their perspective are for your pet's best benefit, but it may or may not be that that's the case. And it's important for everyone to be an educated consumer of healthcare, whether it is for our own health or our pet's health, so we can make the greatest use, get the greatest leverage out of medical science as it exists, so that we can then take that next step into things like what sort of supplements can we use for pets that are going to positively affect the hallmarks of longevity? What kind of pharmaceuticals? So, we're now looking at things like rapamycin. We're now looking at drugs out there that that are going to promote longevity, that are going to get rid of senescent cells. We're balancing AMPK and mTOR, all the kind of stuff that we're talking about from a longevity perspective for people. We can also talk about as a longevity perspective for pets. And guess what? One of the extra little sort of side benefits there is because of the relatively shorter lifespan of pets than compared to people, we actually get a really fascinating window into what works and what doesn't. I think a lot of the things that we're doing for our own health from a biohacking or from a longevity perspective, they may really be working, but you know what? It's going to be a long time before somebody's able to point to one of us and say, look, Fahey's 145 years old. He must have been doing something right all along. But you know what? I'm not exactly sure how old Greg is, but I suspect he's got a while to go to get to 145. So, but when it comes to our dogs, you know what? If my dog lives to be 25, then I'm going to know that I've been doing something right. So it's not going to take that long. And, we can keep going and we can keep layering on these things. And we'll talk in great length about these things during my time at RAADfest, but I just want everybody to understand that nearly everything that everybody's talking about that you can do in a human, you can do in a pet. You just need the appropriate guidance on how to do it. Please don't just start giving your supplements and your medication to your dog. That is not what I am advocating for here. but there is a lot of leverage and a lot of things that we can do to help our pets live longer, better lives, and subsequently help ourselves live longer and better lives.
Wow.
Yeah, beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, we the panel, we were kidding with Dr. Richter. We all have pet questions for him already, and I'm sure many of you have questions. And you know, we want our pets to live. We love our dogs and our cats and our animals, and just as we love the people in our life, we love the pets. You know, a lot of times the videos that most move people at RAADfest are the ones that show pets like struggling to get up a flight of stairs. I remember that famous one, and I think it was about stem cells, and then this dog is bounding up the stairs, and we're all
after the injections.
yeah, and our hearts are all our hearts are lifted.
Yeah,
So
what's really great that you pointed out, Dr. Gary, is that, you know, the life of the dogs in comparison to humans, we can learn a lot from them because of the short times they've got and the results we can get faster. You know, we see this with our own dogs. We have them on a totally raw diet, no grain, nothing. And they're 12 now. And actually they weren't supposed to live much longer than 12, but they're still like puppies.
Yep.
And, you know, we're giving them other, you know, certain NAD, for example, a few other little things and for their joints. But thinking about doing rapamycin for them probably would be a good time. But we're learning a lot from them. And it interrelates between us and us as humans and the animals that we're gonna learn more and more. And they're a great laboratory in themselves.
We are, and you know what? We're all on this journey together.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
yeah,
So
our dogs have no idea what age they are. I think there's a certain advantage to that. I think there's a certain benefit in that too.
I would agree. Living in the moment is a great gift.
yeah.
Yeah. The dog.
They have no consciousness that they might not be here someday.
The dog. No, they
They have
don't.
they're not
No, they
aware.
don't.
You know.
So
Yeah.
true.
Which,
And yet we have that terror in our bodies, whether we realize it or not. Another reason to be together,
Yeah.
to actually approach that, be able to get through that terror of death that's in our bodies. There's a big study that Aubrey sent me from University of Arizona on that, the terror of death. I learned a lot from that, Aubrey, yeah, it's embedded there in our bodies, and we cover it up with so many different, you know, things that we try to mask it. But it's there, and as human beings, we have to face that, and it's powerful to face that together and know that we can get through those blocks.
yeah, that's right. I mean, it's
Yeah.
also why we're doing what we're doing, because we
Yeah.
see what's ahead of us.
Yeah.
You know, I love my dogs, but they're not doing cutting edge research. I haven't been able to bring that about.
Or maybe they are, and they're just not telling you.
Yeah,
They're not sharing it.
No, we
That's
don't.
right.
Yeah, gene therapy or someday they'll be able to talk, right?
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't.
They're like Google. They're doing it, but they're not sharing it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's right.
So, okay.
Super. So our final presenter for tonight to give us a little insight into what he's going to be talking about at RAADfest is the esteemed president and chief science officer of Longevity Escape Velocity Foundation and a great friend of RAADfest from the beginning, Dr. Aubrey de Grey. Aubrey, good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, and I don't know whether Jim realized how much he had turned this whole session full circle with his little joke about dogs doing experiments, or with Gary said that, because Ron John's company is named after a book from the UK from a very long time ago named The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, in which mice are in fact the most intelligent creatures on Earth and are doing experiments on Earth. But you can all go and read that later on. But yeah, actually, another a rather unconventional thing about this session is that it's been done in reverse evolutionary order. It's very frequent in academic conferences that you'll have some session that starts off with yeast, and then it's nematodes and flies, and then it's mice, and eventually they talk about humans if you're lucky. This one's kind of gone the other way, and I think I rather like that, because the things I'm going to talk about at RAADfest and what I'm going to touch on right now are kind of, in a sense, they're the cutting edge of what we do, but in another sense, they're the trailing edge. We have this extraordinarily important coalition, and of course, I use that word advisedly in the circumstances, a coalition of researchers and people in this field who are working at different stages of the process and in different ways synergistically to bring aging under comprehensive medical control for humans as soon as possible. And so, what we've got at the moment is various, reasonably straightforward things that we can do for humans, small molecules that can be administered orally. We've got then people who are doing the kind of thing that Liz is doing, going to the level of larger molecules, and of course also cell therapies that are, much more ambitious and certainly less far along in terms of how much we know, simply how few people have been given them, but we certainly can't be administered orally. Then, of course, as Gary very rightly said, the feedback that we get in terms of what works and what doesn't work depends a lot on how long the animal lives, though less so for some of the more, let's call them age reversal treatments, than for treatments that only, unquote, slow aging down. But of course, your average dog lives a lot longer than your average mice, and that's that average mouse, and that's a large part of why I've stuck with mice as my chosen model organism in my organization. And of course, we also have the advantage of this vast panoply of inbred mice that have got various different genetic modifications that you can't even make in dogs yet, or at least not in the germline. So there's a lot that you can learn from mice still, and I'll be talking about the work that we do. Now, I've run, as most of the people in the audience will know, a succession of nonprofits over the past 20 years, focused on the most cutting edge work in this area. And the overall overarching philosophy of my work has stemmed from this crazy eureka moment I had in the year 2000 that essentially said that damage repair, the reversal of aging, is probably going to be easier than slowing aging down once we just get good at the right enabling technologies, the gene therapies, the cell therapies, and so on. And that philosophy has somewhat won people over the years, but of course, there's still a very long way to go. But the key thing about it is that it's a divide and conquer approach. It's an approach where we kind of say at the outset, okay, no one thing is going to be any kind of silver bullet. We're going to have to do a lot of things to the same individuals at the same time in order to get a significant effect. And so, of course, that means that the whole strategy breaks down into two phases. There's the phase where you are developing the individual components, and there's the phase where you are combining those components once they individually work somewhat. Now, in my work in my previous organizations, my focus has mainly been on the more difficult, the most challenging of the components, trying to make sure that they don't get neglected just because, people who are constrained by short-termist considerations like profit or getting a grant application funded, don't work on. And that's gone pretty well over the years. But of course, the things that are on the relatively easy end of the spectrum, and which I've never really emphasized in my organizations because other people were doing them, those are things that have now progressed individually quite a long way. Such that it's now time where we can actually combine them and see what they do in the same individual at the same time. And the individuals that I'm talking about are, as I mentioned, mice, not humans, so far. But you've got to start somewhere. So LEV Foundation works at the moment, our flagship work is on combining things that have promising results already. And we're mostly focused on rejuvenation things. In other words, things that genuinely repair this or that type of damage, and that therefore can be expected to have benefits even if you only start doing them once the mice are already in middle age. The current experiment that we're doing, that we started early last year, with middle-aged mice that are about 1.5 years old when we started, and these are mice that normally live to about 2.5. We gave them 4 different things in various different combinations, and it's all gone quite well. The one thing that we were doing that was kind of slowing aging down has worked as it should have done. The other things are bona fide damage repair, extending telomeres, rejuvenating the blood stem cells, getting rid of senescent cells. And those things have very interestingly worked a lot better in males than in females as of now. The experiment is emphatically not over. And one nice timing thing is that I think RAADfest is going to be the first conference I go to where probably almost all the mice are going to be dead, and we're going to be able to say definitive things with some level of statistics behind them. I've been, as many of you will know, I've been giving updates online on social media every month or so since the experiment began, showing how this is going. And it's continuing to be exciting. We definitely badly want to get a second iteration of this kind of experiment going as soon as possible. We've had the design for it pretty much finalized for at least 6 or 8 months now. And the only reason it hasn't kicked off is because we don't have the funding. But with any luck, we'll get it sometime soon. And of course, we are using that delay as productively as we can so as to identify and perhaps modify or refine the design of the second round so as to be even more valuable. But that's basically what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about the motivation for these experiments, the interim results, which won't be all that interim at that point, and the overall current design for subsequent experiments of this nature, which I truly believe are currently the best bang for the buck in the whole field in terms of the amount of information gained per dollar spent. That's all I think I need to say.
Super. Thank
Wow.
you. We're looking forward to keeping up with the latest from
Yeah,
you.
thank you very much. Wow.
I believe Dr. Nog has to suspiciously sneak off to teach a class in his academic
Yes.
career.
Yes.
So
Thank
long,
you.
and thanks for all the fish.
Being with us.
Thank you very
You're
much.
on,
Hope to see everyone in Anaheim and really looking forward to it. Thank you.
See you
See you
soon.
then.
See you soon.
Do it. Sounds exciting.
Super. Now, we're going to take some questions and from the panel, but before we do that, I just want to remind everybody that we have this super duper really good offer for you of this basic admission. You can also get the other registrations too, but this basic admission, which is under 600 bucks, is going to be available for only for the next 72 hours, because it's not usually how we sell RAADfest registrations. And you can take advantage of it. You can use this QR code to actually get to that page. Unfortunately, our regular RAADfest.com website is down right now not because of us, because of other forces beyond our control, as they say.
We should say that admission gets everybody into the main room, the labs, the RAADcity. It's, they get into everything.
Everything you've heard talked about here, and everything you haven't
Yeah.
heard talked about
Yeah.
here. The basic admission gets you in, and it's a great way to get to RAADfest.
And we want you there.
Yeah, and we want
That's
you
why
there.
that's why we're priced it that way. We're a nonprofit, and we're out to
Yeah.
create these scenarios that we can all participate in a higher level together.
Yeah, despite how we don't make money on RAADfest. That's what I'm trying to say here. It's the coalition is a not-for-profit organization. We keep costs down to bring as many people in as possible, and it helps us. It helps us when you register, and honestly, it helps you. Most people are grossly undernourished when it comes to longevity community. And
Dr. Nag mentioned this, that we're not a commercial. That's what he liked about RAADfest. We're not just a commercial organization trying to sell stuff.
No.
In fact, even the innovations that we're talking about and the opportunities to do tests, do EBU or do phoresis, any of those programs that will be there that you'll be able to participate in. We don't participate in the profits at all from that. So we pass that on, those discounts on to everybody.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing. That's part of the difference of what we've created there at RAADfest for everybody.
Yeah. So let's so register. So let's take a few questions here. There's some questions for Greg. They want to know when they're going to hear back if they're accepted to the program, and also Are you going to share exact protocols of the updated TRIM trial?
So as far as the enrollment process is concerned, there's a multi-step process you have to go through. First, you fill out a questionnaire, and then if we don't have too many questions about that, you qualify to go on to have a blood draw, and the blood test basically checks a lot of basic things that are pertinent to whether you're going to have a good outcome in the trial or not. And we may go around with you for various periods of time, depending upon what we see. Some problems can be remediated over time, and so we might have you get drawn again a few months later or a few weeks later. Others can't, and so we'll put you into a separate category in case we're able to expand the entry criteria in the future. But all of this does take time. I'd say it sort of varies from time to time as to how much feedback time is required. But we do have Grace Waldron working for us, our trial coordinator, and she's usually pretty good about getting back to people, and if necessary, nagging me to make sure that I do what I need to do to get you into the trial, or at least get you through the next hoop. So I don't have an exact answer to the question of how long it takes to be qualified to enroll. And our enrollment schedule right now is a little bit fluid because we're doing so many things at one time. We're setting up a new laboratory, and we're setting up new software. And so sometimes we slow down enrollment, and other times we're able to speed it up. So I would just say, if you're interested in signing up for the trial, just write and get yourself into the queue, and we'll do the best that we can for you. As far as the trial protocol is concerned, that's an ever-evolving thing, and we would have to be able to publish our results before we got into the details of that, which we're not really close to right now, because we're probably going to have to publish at least 2 trials in the same publication, because one would not make as much sense without the other. So that's sometime down the road. But of course, we would like to be as open as possible. So stay tuned. That's what I would say.
Sounds good. Here's a question about, will RAADfest be talking about tapping into our human technology to access our infinite intelligence? And I think that, I think this year we're doing a lab. We're calling it Inner Game. That's actually not what we're going to call it, but we haven't come up with a better name for it yet. And I'm working on that. But maybe you want to talk about that, Jim, about like tapping into the sort of immortal, the spirit of immortality that's already in our bodies.
Yeah, we're going to go in depth in this lab with that, and I think we're going to have a really powerful conversation on it. I personally feel unlimited lifespan, the potential for that is innate in all of us, and I'm going to talk about how to tap that, how we actually bring that out, and we're going to have a very inspiring conversation. We touched upon this some last year, and the room was the side room we had for that. We outside the main room we had a little breakout, and the room was full, and it was electrifying, the conversations. So we're going to go very in depth on that, and so I look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. So this is a question for Liz. Liz Parrish, could you tell me the name of the individual who she is bringing to RAADfest? I think, I'm not really sure what that refers to. Maybe the person with Dr. Williams?
Oh, they want a name.
Oh, well, I think that patient data is something that I can't talk about. I'm not sure if the patient's showing up or just her images. I do know that it's a she,
Yes.
but I can't say anything more than that. I'm HIPAA compliant.
I think that was a test. I think that was a HIPAA test right there.
Good job,
I
man.
was seeing if I was compliant or not.
This is for Dr. Richter. Do you really think there is a diet? I had pups predisposed to genetic depression and kept diet consistent. I used a variety of peptides, and at 100-pound females lived to 13. How would it differ, like treating it that way versus diet and exercise?
I'm not sure that I'm understanding the question there.
Yeah, I'm going to read it to you.
I think it's like peptides and nutraceuticals type thing, instead of like doing a fresh whole diet. Like, can you simplify it by adding peptides?
I think that's right.
Well, I mean, I think, at the end of the day, I mean, sure, I mean, peptides are really effective, but, I have always maintained that, you can do all the peptides and regenerative medicine you want, and if you're feeding the animal garbage food, then you're building a house on a foundation of sand. Ultimately, it's not going to really get you where you want to go. It might help somewhat, but it's never going to get you where you want to go if you don't start, like everything starts with nutrition. Like you got to build on top of that.
Yeah, I want to just add to that. Thank you, because it's been pretty well, proven that the better your health, the better when you have it do an innovation or some therapy, the better results you get, right? So same thing. If you're taking care of your diet, you're doing it, and you're healthy, you're going to benefit. The results you're going to get from any type of therapy is going to be better. That's what we pretty much see across the board. Even here, people Unlimited, people who take care of themselves and are healthy, and they do an innovation, they get better results on it, whether it's NAD or senolytics or whatever they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, to take an extreme example of that, you take somebody who runs 5 miles a day and exercises regularly, but they're a smoker.
Mm,
Like one thing can't make up for the other.
there you go.
Right. So let me see here. Sorry, I lost my place. It's good to have Jose Cordero with us from Madrid. Jose. So Jose wants to know, Jose has a question for you, Greg. He wants to know, when can we get the therapy? Will it be available like the trim therapy? Will it be available internationally or only in certain countries? Like, what's the plan for a rollout?
So the biggest problem with the rollout is managing the complexity of administering the treatment, especially on the part of doctors who are not that familiar with it. And so in order to address that, we have been working very hard on developing an expert system to guide the therapy. The first 9 calls that it made were right on target, but then we started discovering some cases that the expert system had not considered yet. So we're still working on smoothing all of that out. Nevertheless, we have a group in the UK that is planning to launch services as a franchise of ours, basically, before the end of this year. And we will be working closely with them on an experimental basis. And if that works out, and if our software can keep up with all of the demand of all of these dose updates, then we should be able to expand anywhere in the world in which the regulatory climate allows it. And we were just hearing from Liz about the importance of regulation. I have to support her on that. Regulatory burdens are really one of the biggest obstacles we have to life extension right now. But the barriers are different in different countries. And we have somebody in contact with us who is able to set us up in the Caribbean if we have to go there. And we also have this place opening up in the UK. There's a lot of interest in Europe, particularly in Germany and Austria. So we will see how it goes, but we are interested. It's just a matter of not going faster than we can really go. We want to do it right. We don't want to get too far ahead of our skis, but we're moving in that direction.
Yeah, understood, Greg. Wow, thank you for that answer. And so you are doing these trials in the clinic, in your clinic in LA, though, is that right?
Yes, yeah. So that's the easy way to get in, is to just join one of the trials.
Right.
It's probably, frankly, it's probably also less expensive because the clinics that partner with us, they have to make their cut also. They have to earn a living as well. We basically run the trials at cost, essentially. So if you want this treatment easily and quickly, and if you can be in the United States several times a year to have your blood collected here, then you can enroll, as long as we can sort of keep up with the demand. Our biggest problem is not having enough people to enroll. Our problem is having more people want to enroll that we can really keep up with, but we do everything that we can to accommodate everybody.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, I've heard about I didn't get to see your clinic yet. Maybe when I'm over there this time in LA, I want to see it. I heard it's really beautiful. They got a really outstanding clinic there.
Yeah, I really, really hesitate to mention this because a lot of people are going to hear what I say. And this is really dangerous, but some of us are going to take a little tour over there after RAADfest.
Oh,
if you're
Another good
interested-
reason to come. Another good
now-
reason to be at
now,
RAADfest.
Craig, yes.
Get a tour.
Yes. I like,
we might have to break it up into several different groups to handle it, but we
yeah,
have actually our main laboratories at the Lundquist Institute, and then we have satellite labs that we've set up to do some very critical and innovative experiments in the laboratory. So the tour group will go through both of those. And actually, if anyone is particularly hardy and has plenty of time on Sunday, some of us are going to go over to my cryobiology lab as well in Fontana, which is a $22,000 square foot facility. Has a lot of interesting stuff to look at.
yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, I'd love to do that too. Wow,
Amazing.
Wow. Thank you for all the great work you're doing, Greg.
Thanks a lot, and thanks to you for pulling this all together, James. RAADfest has been instrumental in me being able to find people who are interested enough in aging and aging intervention to be brave enough to actually take part in some of these clinical trials. So it's been very positive for me to be associated with RAADfest, and I think very positive for the people that have been brought into contact with me because of RAADfest. So I think this big family that you've created is working very well in multiple different directions.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that because that was our intention. That's what we wanted to create. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I think that's a wrap. I want to thank all of you. You did a really great job at giving everybody a little sneak preview. It's fantastic. I'm very excited seeing you all soon, about 36 days. Yeah, so take good care of yourselves. We're going to just say to our attendees, thank you too for being online with us. You're vital to this whole movement.
That's right.
Like Dr. Nag said, it's a wonderful thing to be able to get the public moving with us. Many of you are advocates of super longevity. You're out there, you're soldiers of this new life. We need you there at RAADfest. That's the bottom line. We need to join together physically, and numbers matter. Coming together, the more numbers we get, the more support the world notices. The press comes in, they spread out the news, and it gives more opportunities, like Craig was talking about, for there to be collaborations and for sharing information, powerful information. And I love what Liz said about David Kekich, because he used to always tell me, yeah, your best friend is those people who want you alive. And that always struck me, so strong in my own person. So keep that in mind, everybody. And I look forward to seeing you at RAADfest, and bless you all. Good night.
Thank you.